What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Now, for some reason, I wanted to make this video today. Why? Well, for one, Rock hasn't been featured on the channel in a while. Second, it was hilariously sad. Mr. S, Billy Gunn, his push was dead before it even began. Because, first of all, why the hell would someone who dances with her own ass, who calls himself Mr. S, have a funny-ass theme song be a main event? Another thing to mention is that who in their right mind thought to make Billy Gunn a star, his first feud should be with The Rock? It essentially meant that Billy, had no chance. He went one-on-one with the Great One and lost convincingly. It was sad for Billy Gunn, but he had no business being in a program with The Rock during this time period. The pressure was a little bit too much on him, I guess. Like, The Rock was the biggest star, barring Austin, post-WrestleMania 15, bar none. No doubt about it. WWF, WCW, he was the second biggest star. That's one thing for sure. This essentially was just a program to waste time, I guess. Now, how was this to be? Well, right now, let's get into it. Billy Gunn was one half of the legendary New Age Outlaws. JR, at some points of the later stages of the Attitude Era, heralded them as the greatest team in WWF history. That's how good they were. Road Dogg was the guy that spoke, he had the little speech. Billy was the guy that wrestled. Now, my personal opinion on the team was that they were entertaining, and when I watched the first half of the Attitude Era, one of my favorite wrestlers, believe it or not, was Billy Gunn. Why is that? Because the guy was so damn athletic. He sold like nobody else on the roster. I just loved watching him, simply put. His body shape is something that not many notice, but he's bigger than he seems on TV, Like, if you actually see him in real life, a lot of people said that he's way bigger than they expected. Hell, even when he stands next to the AEW guys, he looks massive. He's almost Taker and Kane's height, yet for some reason he felt a bit smaller than them. Now, he wasn't the best wrestler on the roster, but I always enjoyed watching him throughout 98 and 99. Now, does that mean Rockabilly should have been a main eventer? I don't know about that one. One thing that was keeping him away from a successful singles run was his asthma. That's one thing. He wasn't able to put on those 20-minute main eventer matches. Another thing is charisma, mic skills, but we'll get into them later. Anyways, after the New Age Outlaws disbanded in May of 1999, Billy Gunn was headed for a singles push of sorts. Not IC title push, but to the very top, the WWF Championship. He was going to go from Road Dogg and X-Pac to Austin and Rock, basically. So he won King of the Ring. Now, the reason why I won, though, was pretty interesting to me. I found this little information. I did some digging into why he won, and I found something from Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer from July of 1999. This is a small tidbit. I just learned about it today, actually. Apparently, the WWF made the mistake of spoiling the King of the Ring results with their VHS cover. Read something about Big Show winning. Here it is. See the Big Show go through 8 men en route to winning the King of the Ring. Maybe it was the plan, maybe it wasn't. But anyways, Mr. S went through Ken Shamrock. He got attacked earlier on. Kane, Big Show helped. He turned heel for the 100th time. And he went through his old buddy to become the 1999 King of the Ring. His win, it was pretty disappointing. The fans weren't booing, but they weren't cheering also. And if they were cheering, it's because of his butt, the girls. JR didn't really show much emotion for the victory, and also the competition was weak. Like, the way Billy won, it didn't generate much emotion, and if anything, the guys who attacked Billy's opponents got more heat. And yes, winning King of the Ring was still a big deal during this time period. Shamrock is pegged as a potential WWF champion the year earlier. Triple H won it in 97 and ended up winning the title 2 years later. But enough of that. How in the hell did The Rock get involved with Billy Gunn? Okay, here we go. The next night on Raw's War, the War Zone, Mr. S came out to address the victory. He was rambling on about how he carried tag partners, and now his focus is finally on one person, and one person only, himself. Triple H and Chyna randomly came out, and at this point, Hunter and Chyna, they weren't really Billy's friend, but they weren't his enemy either. Hunter and Chyna were out there for strictly business purposes. He asked Billy about the DX royalty checks and how the cash was lower this time around, The reason why this was because X-Pac and Road Dogg wanted to own the right to the DX name or something like that. That's not the point, though. The Rock came out and attacked both men. This was because of Triple H coming in and costing him the WWF Championship gold the previous night. Okay, so later that night, Billy Gunn came in and blasted Rock with a club. This was essentially the worst decision Mr. S made up to this point. Definitely. The Rock was more focused on Triple H, but Billy did a pretty good job of getting Rocky's attention. He once again attacked the Great One the following week after his cage match with Triple H. He hit the Famouser, and both DX members continued the assault as Warzone went off the air. So how was The Rock going to respond to this? This is a straight-up burial, let's just say that. On the July 11th, 1999 episode of Heat, The Rock had some words for Billy Gunn. Unfortunately for Mr. S, those words sent any glimmer of hope for his push to extinction. It was completely gone after this. So The Rock comes out with a fancy shirt on, the sunglasses, the sideburns, and the microphone. First of all, he made fun of Triple H and his 3-foot nose. As for badass Billy Gunn, this hurts. Since this was very memorable, I have to say this promo quote for quote. I haven't done this in a while because it's kind of unnecessary, it's kind of stupid. This time around is different. Here are Rock's words, quote unquote. The Rock understands what took place. The night you won King of the Ring, you got down on your knees, put your little hands together and said a prayer. And it sounded like this. Oh dear God. You see, my name's Billy, and I just won King of the Ring. But there's just one problem. Everyone still thinks that I absolutely suck. He's absolutely embarrassing him. This is only the beginning. And then at that point, Billy, your house started to shake. The heavens opened up and God himself spoke to you and said,
Bob, but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
And then as fear went through your body, tears went down your cheek, and piss rolled down your leg, your house started to shake again. The clouds parted and the heavens opened, and what seemed like millions of
voices all said to you in unison, jabroni.
Oh man, he destroyed him. Billy immediately responded to this, stating that Rock's jealous of his looks and his athletic skills. Not only that, but his ass also. Okay, so that's how Billy was going to respond. He absolutely got floored out there, and he wasn't even in the ring at this point. And all I could say was, oh, Rock's jealous of my bum. Luckily, Badass got a second chance on going one-on-one with the Great One. Obviously, it wasn't on the mic this time around. Before the match, Rock cracked jokes about Mr. S once again and asked for the match itself. Badass got his ass whooped, but that didn't translate to a victory for The Rock, however, because China helped Mr. S steal the victory. The story continued from there on, and at Fully Loaded, Billy Gunn interfered in Rock's strap match. He received the Rock bottom of the bottom line while the Great One lost. The Rock, his focus was 100% now on Billy Gunn, and Triple H was going to SummerSlam to challenge for the WWF Championship. At this point, Billy Gunn was mostly an acquaintance of Triple H and Chyna's. I think they were nearly friends, though, because Chyna was accompanying him to the ring, so there's that. The Rock, meanwhile, continued to threaten the trio when he was booked in a handicap match against Badass and Chyna on Raw's main event the next night. The numbers did kind of get the best of The Rock throughout the match, but by the time Stone Cold paid a visit to Triple H on commentary, he had the tides in his favor. The match didn't really have a conclusion, and it was ruled no contest. Shortly afterwards, the match between The Rock and Billy Gunn was made for SummerSlam. Badass promoted the match as the #1 ass, best ass, or whatever against the people's ass. It was some riveting stuff. I mean, he was claiming right here, I got a picture of The Rock's butt, basically. The Great One put a stop to this in the back, and he told the truth. He said that the ass Billy showed on the Titantron wasn't his, but it was Billy's mother. And this sentence, he absolutely embarrassed him once more.
If The Rock hits you, he'll kill you. If he misses, the wind behind the punch will give you pneumonia, and you'll die anyway, so the choice is yours, jabroni.
He then gave us an image of Billy Gunn with tears in his eyes and piss running down his leg, realizing that The Rock is the Great One and the most electrifying man. So at this point in terms of promo, The Rock 2, Billy Gunn 0. While Badass was watching his ass, the Great One was continuing to school stars on the mic. Billy Gunn was mostly relying on cheap shots to best The Rock, and on the final Raws were for SummerSlam, both men had one more confrontation. Mr. S was so infatuated with his damn butt. He had herbal ass treatment and he was disappointed with the results. Gunn thought it was a great tragedy, but promised to appear at SummerSlam and also guaranteed Rock's face would be much worse than his butt. He made the promo short and sweet because he realized Rock was going to own him. Unfortunately for Badass, the Great One appeared. The fans loudly chanted for Rock, you know, Rocky, Rocky, and he reminded Billy that at SummerSlam, he's going to suffer a case of diarrhea because he's one big piece of chicken. And before the match begins, he's going to hear his little music.
Well, I'm an ass.
Then he'll stand in the ring, surrounded by complete silence, and the moment his opponent's music plays, all 20,000 fans stand up. The electricity's running through their body, and the fans will be like, oh, there's the most electrifying man, and The Rock claimed that he's gonna lay the smacking down on his candy ass. He then called for a woman who Billy seemed to know, and he revealed that she was the one who massaged Billy's pimply ass. She apparently rubbed his ass with the people's poison ivy, and that explains Mr. Ash's itching. The Rock then told the woman to pancake her ass back to Chicago. The Great One had a couple of ideas of what to do from here on, and he ended up running in there and whooping Billy's itchy ass. Funnily enough, he didn't stand tall at the end because Mr. S bested the Great One with a kendo stick and embarrassed The Rock by forcing him to kiss his little itchy ass. In the back, the People's Champion promised to make Badass famous by beating him in the middle of the ring, and after the match, he will force Billy to kiss his ass. Okay. We've heard a little too much of ass recently. Anyways, before their match at SummerSlam, Rock once again showed no worry about his opponent. It was just another day to him. As for Billy, he had a little surprise. Now, I'm not sure if it was official, but I believe it was a kiss my ass match. It wasn't outright official. The commentary team were calling it that, but it was never officially announced as a match. Beforehand, Billy revealed that when he wins, Rock's not going to kiss his ass, but hers. The match itself was average, and obviously the fans loved The Rock, but I don't think they had a doubt in the match's result. Despite this, Billy put a fight. He probably scared some, Doubtful, though, with a famouser. He tried bringing in the woman to embarrass The Rock, but he only ended up screwing himself, and with that, he received a rock bottom and a people's elbow to lose the match and lose his main event push. Following this, Billy never really bounced back, so he ended up turning into a babyface to reform the New Age Outlaws, only to turn heel a month later to rejoin DX. The push honestly doesn't have many positives. It kind of exposed Billy in a way. The Rock schooled him on every single promo there, and he never really rebounded. The only reason why Billy Gunn was generating heat was because he was showing his butt or talking about his butt. That's it. Now, Billy spoke about the little push with X-Pac, stating that it was almost a career killer, and he also confirmed a rumor that somebody else was planning to win it. And while they thought it was crappy, they never did much with him after King of the Ring. He understands it may have been his attitude or something, and yeah, it was hard to find something about his little push coming from him. But as for other sources, Bruce Pritchard on Something to Wrestle a couple of months ago discussed the topic of Billy Gunn. Now here's a couple of quotes. This was during a time when we were trying to get something out of Billy Gunn, and I felt that if Rock's not going to be able to get anything out of him, maybe we need to relook this guy. And Billy did have asthma, and as a singles performer, we've talked about this a lot of times, that Billy was excellent in a tag team. Billy was able to come in and shine and be that guy in a tag team. Left on his own in a singles atmosphere during this time frame, it was still new to Billy. And you think about it, in his whole career, he's been a tag guy, brief stints here and there, in singles work, rockabilly and all that horse. And yes, rockabilly was mine, so I could call it horse. Here's another quote. It's just on how the singles push failed. It didn't work. It just didn't work. I think the confidence in Billy's singles run quickly diminished. It wasn't just this match. It was leading up to it as well. When you look at the two talents, where are you going to invest? You're going to invest in The Rock. Unfortunately for Billy at this point, that's where it laid. I think that was a lot of times a shortcoming of Russo of if you book it, they will come. Not everybody, just because you book them in that position, should be in that position. And I think for Billy to succeed, maybe after King of the Ring, he should have worked with someone else to build to that. But being put right in with The Rock and being put right into that position of being not just top guy, but mega top guy, not being able to run with them, it's a tough crowd. Pritchard also claimed Rock himself didn't like working with Billy. Add to that the other rumors of Austin refusing to have a program with him. It was never going to work. Now, what do I think about this thing? Even though, he was exposed badly, I think they should have tried having him feud with someone like Ken Shamrock, perhaps. Maybe even Mick Foley, who knows? But yes, he had lack of charisma and lack of mic work, and he was just exposed badly during the summer of 1999. Now, the most memorable thing to come from this push was this, though.
1999 is so 2 years ago. I vow to you that I will not Billy Gunn this King of the Ring title.
I mean, Edge, he picked up the scraps and absolutely ripped them apart into a million pieces. That's what I think.
To totally annihilate Billy Bitch Cakes.
What do you guys think of this Billy Gunn push? Please comment down below. And that's your first video. Make sure you hit a famouser on the like button and perhaps the rock bottom on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.